What do you want to know about Tom Cruise when you come on a set to direct him?
Just really what makes his imagination come to life and how to get certain qualities that you don't get by explaining precisely what you want. Being a director is a little bit like being a good doctor, where sometimes somebody comes in and their arm hurts and you know that it's coming from a pinched nerve in their neck, let's say. And you have to be intelligent enough to know that it's never literal. So sometimes you have to go in a very circuitous way to get what you want from an actor, because you can't do it by necessarily describing in result terms what you want. So in order to do that, you have to get to know the actor a little bit, or at least know how their imagination works, what buttons to push, if you will.
And that makes you almost a psychologist, doesn't it?
It does make you a psychologist, but it certainly makes you preoccupied.
A student of human nature.
Yeah, preoccupied with the same things that a psychologist. You know, actors are doing a very, very difficult thing, because they're trying consciously to create something that doesn't work consciously. I mean, emotion is a product of the unconscious. Otherwise, there would be no field of psychology.
Otherwise, it would be easy and everybody could do it.
That's right. And so you're trying to consciously produce something which works best when it's unconscious, when it's left alone. And so it's a very delicate thing that actors are doing, and an awful lot of it has to do with a degree of their comfort. Just as simple a thing as them being emotionally relaxed and comfortable sometimes is all that's required. When you hire very, very good actors, you don't have to do a lot except stay out of their way and create an atmosphere where they can do the work. I mean, on this picture, I didn't do a lot of creating things for actors.
You didn't have to talk about motivation and...
No, not when you have actors of this caliber, Ed Harris and Holly Hunter and these guys, all of these people. You just don't do that. And Gene Hackman, what you're trying to do really is not get in their way and create some sort of an atmosphere.
Let me talk about acting a little bit too. But you wanted to be an actor.
At one time, 100 years ago, yeah.
Well, at the beginning, there's an enormous amount of work and time devoted to getting rid of all kinds of prejudices about what acting really is, so that the initial work is a sort of a process of getting the actor to really pay attention to the other person. Acting has to do with reproducing honest and truthful human behavior in imaginary circumstances. And there's a way we can break this down into moments and into attitude. That's the sort of major breakthrough that I think was made in the 20s and 30s in this country, or beginning to be made, when people began to take Stanislavski and make it American. What Sandy did is begin to examine the fact that dialogue is the last thing that happens any time between two people. It's all supported by behavior and attitudes. You say something, you mean a certain thing to me when I see you, because of whatever relationship we may have. You say something, I hear it. Depending on the state I'm in when I come into the room, it means something to me. It produces a reaction in me emotionally. And the last thing that happens is I respond with dialogue in some way.
You better snap out of this beach club lightheadedness of yours, because we've run up against something desperately serious, you and I.
I know.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah. The school is structured on a 2-year basis. The first year primarily focuses on stripping away old and bad habits that one may have come there with.
Clear one.
I think so. Out.
It's defensive rather than offensive. That is, it's a way of weeding out any false behavior.
I'm not quite sure I want to answer that.
Come on, I'm not asking for their names.
The second year essentially is to take that instinct which one hopes is now honed down rather sharply, and now actively set an objective task for it. So one begins then to learn character work and all kinds of heightened ways of dealing with emotion.
Okay, start reading this reading.
It was a rather extraordinary experience to come back after 23 years, 22 years, because there was this sense of of coming back to something and understanding it very, very clearly after taking it away and practicing it in a practical sense. All right, all the film cameras go into the second positions that we ended up on Friday. Remember those positions? Here, simply. The ladder is not out. If I have any kind of technique at all as a film director, which is a long way from acting for the theater in Meisner's classes, it's all based on what I learned from Sandy. It's all based on those concepts.
There's a spine to it that you got to find, and then you'll find the moments. Don't work on the moments. Okay. It's too early to work on the moments. What is the intention of the speech? The intention of the speech is, I'll tell you something about the world. I'll tell you how sad and tragic it is.
What Sandy taught you so clearly is that the basic thing about character is how you do what you do. You know, it's not so much what you do, but how you do it. And what you begin to see is that there are thousands of ways of doing the text. And what is required is a point of view, a real sense of who you are and what you are doing.
And you decided, did you decide not to?
No, I kind of got, somebody sort of suggested that I become a director, and I thought they were insulting me and saying
that you're not a good
actor. You're not going to be a good actor. Actually, it was Burt Lancaster. I was a dialogue coach on a film in 1960 that John Frankenheimer directed called The Young Savages. It had a bunch of new young actors on it, and I got hired by Frankenheimer to coach the kids, and Lancaster kind of began to push me toward directing, and so did Frankenheimer, and I thought, okay, I'm never going to make it much as an actor. The irony, of course, is now that I don't give a damn about acting.
Now everybody wants you to act.
Well, not everybody, but I get these calls.
The first Tootsie was the first time I ever saw you.
But that was Dustin. That was Dustin Hoffman insisting to the point where I thought we were going to come to blows, and that wasn't the only thing. You know, our feuds were famous on that picture. But he insisted that I play that part, and I said, Dustin, I don't want to do this. I haven't acted, and I hadn't in 25 years. I'm not going to stop and put on makeup and put on a costume in the middle of directing a big, expensive, complicated movie like this. It's tough enough. He began to send me flowers, saying, please be my agent. Love, Dorothy. Yeah, he would sign it, Dorothy.
Yeah.
And what he said was, look, in Some Like It Hot, there are machine guns that make these guys put dresses on. The only thing I've got to make me put a dress on is that my agent says to me, you're never going to work again. If a fellow actor says to me, you're never going to work again, I'm not going to put the dress on. If you say to me, you're never going to work again, maybe I'll go put the dress on. Now, I thought this is method acting carried to its nth degree, but Dustin does believe, and in that sense I have to agree with him, that it's hard enough to do the make-believe. What's there to use easily and freely that's reality, use it. So he made a big case for this and finally got to a point where I said, okay.
You glad you did it?
I'll do it. Now I'm glad I did it. At the time I hated doing it. I truly did. Yeah. I hated it, and I couldn't concentrate on it, and I was much too used to thinking about what the actor was doing, so that the only time I could work well was in my own close-ups, where I didn't have to look at him, because every time there was a two-shot, I was trying to act, but really what I was doing was watching him to make notes in my because you develop habits after all those years. So I didn't much like it. But then when I went to the movie and saw everybody laughing.
No, do you see films you? No. I'm sorry. Are you presented with a lot of things you want to direct, or is it rare that somebody comes to you with something?
It's very rare. It's the toughest thing in the world in this business is the amount of damage you do to your brain reading junk. Because you just spend every minute of your free time reading, trying to find something to do, and so much of it is awfully bad that you really feel you're going to you're going to do yourself some serious damage.
I hate that about the business. It is looking for something that's right for you,
good to
that's
do.
Quality.
You think that, I always say to myself, I have to get up every morning for the next year of my life with these characters. Do I really care enough to live with whoever these 2 people or 3 people or 5 people are, that every morning for the next year of my life, the first thing that's going to happen when I open my eyes is I'm going to worry about what they're doing. And I'm going to do it at night, and then after I finish shooting it, I'm going to look at them with the film and cut it, and it's going to be a year. And it's hard to find something that's worth doing that.